why the coaching industry has a credibility crisis.
Do we have a credibility crisis?
Yeah, but that's the question. I mean,
I think it does. I think it's, it's a matter of maybe people's experiences.
you mean the client?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe sometimes as coaches, over promising, meaning not, do you understand what I mean? Not saying things as they are. And then people being disillusioned and all these other things. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do with that.
Do you think, in some extent, the industry has gone too far in the marketing?
I think so. In some ways, yeah. In some ways, especially, I feel like when we say some things, especially when we know that it's actually not true, like it will, maybe it will take a little bit more time and stuff like that. And because when I speak to a lot of coaches or other, like clients, for example, a lot of the times what they say is, oh, I have done this, I have done that, I haven't gotten results and stuff like that. And I also think that a part of it is based on the fact that, how do I want to phrase this? For me, for example, when I've been with coaches, like I've been with several coaches, obviously, but like every step of the way has brought me to the next step. And I always look at it like that. I always look at it as I am the one who, like, I'm taking responsibility for my growth, and I get to the point where, like when I encounter somebody and I'm like, oh, I actually want to be in this person's space, right? Like they have something that they can share with me. They have a technique that they can share with me. They have a practice that they can share with me that I feel very aligned to, right? But like my vision, I'm the one who creates. Do you understand what I mean? And they can, of course, um, get me into the space where we create that together. So like I feel like a lot of the times in the coaching industry, what ends up happening is like the other person has to do it for you, or like all that I have to do is just get my hands on this technique. And sometimes even clients won't even do the work. It's like all I have to do is just pay for this program and then the results will come. It doesn't work like that, right? Like I feel like part of it is taking responsibility on both sides, like the coaches and also even the clients as well. It's like knowing that I'm the one who is creating the change, right? And that I get to learn a way, right? And it's for me, I don't even look at it as information really. For me, I look at it as I'm stepping into, like kind of like a frequency that will help me get there. And I think the way that I look at it is because there was an era where like everybody felt like, oh, there's money in the coaching industry, okay? Like, oh, there's money. I can make money in the coaching industry. And like I've seen some people, and not that I'm pointing any fingers, where it's like they didn't necessarily have something tangible to give. But like the whole point, and I don't have anything against that either, but the whole point of them getting into coaching was because they felt like, oh, this is a place where I can make money. And sometimes not necessarily thinking about what is the result that I'm bringing to my client, not necessarily thinking about what is the value that I am bringing, right? And I feel like that also has played a role in the whole thing because, it's like if enough people get to have that experience with like quote unquote bad coaches, then it's like that's what happens. Like the reputation that starts happening.
And also, maybe people don't think as coaches as a real job. That's not a real job. That's not
Yeah,
real work. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like
That's
at a dinner party, like people are like, yeah, but that's
yeah.
not real.
Yeah, I used not to want to even say that. Like I used not to, like I'll go to like a corporate event, it's like with my husband, for example, and people will be like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm not sure what to tell you. you
But
know?
how do you manage that?
Now, like it depends. Like it's just conversations, Like I just tell them what I do, which means like I tell them. It depends on also how like deep the conversation goes. Sometimes people just ask to ask, and then I just give them a surface level conversation. But if they want to go deeper, then of course, then I tell them like all the things that I do in my business, and I tell them like who I work with. I tell them what I do with my clients. And like what I have found now lately is people are very intrigued actually. I think some people, believe it or not, even though like we are on the internet and for us it is such a natural thing for us now. But for some people, like they're like really amazed that you can actually sit in your living room and be working with people in Australia, and like they can't even grasp. You understand what I mean? And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe more of the corporate world will come into the coaching world, and maybe
You mean corporate people becoming online coaches?
yes, and even
Yeah,
selling online courses and
yeah. Yeah,
yep.
it's happening. Yeah, because especially like if they had the skills, they already have a skill that they're utilizing in the corporate world, then yeah, a lot of, like a lot of people, well, a lot, like relatively, like many going from, from their corporate job into becoming coaches, right?
And do you think there is bad coaches?
You do I think there are bad coaches? I plead the fifth on that one.
Give me 5 tips to choose the best coach for me.
5 tips to choose the best coach for you. I would say like I think for me the number one is does the person have the same kind of values as you? Kind of like that, similar. It's like for me, I look at that a lot. And second tip would be I don't know if it's a tip, but like I would say for me when I'm looking at like hiring a coach, it's like uh, is the way that they are doing what they're doing, is the way that they're getting the results that they're getting, is that the way that I want to do it for myself? There's so many different ways to get a result. There's so many different ways to get to one same result. But not all the ways are aligned to everybody. Like you have to like look at it and be like, is that the way that I want to get there, right? And the other thing, I think the biggest one for me is, are they who they kind of like? What's the thing? Like, do they practice what they preach? Kind of like that, right? Do they practice what they preach? Kind of like that, yeah. And yeah, for me, like when I look at a coach, for example, like I like to see like what mistakes they've made, like what challenges they go through, like because if it's like a lot of the times like they go through probably the same challenges as I go through, and then if I see them guiding themselves through their challenges, it's like that's the whole point. Like I don't look at coaching as like, again, I don't look at it as information. Like it's because if that's the case, then we have a problem, in my humble opinion. But for me, it's not just passing on information. It's kind of like a transfer of something. That's how I look at it. It's like a transfer of like it's like a calibration, or it's yeah. So for me, how I really like to market my work is like, and I say this all the time, is truly through just sharing my experience. It's like through sharing my experience. And I like to share when I have wins. I like to share when I have not so not, not such big wins. I like to share when I'm going through a challenge. I like to share like basically, like for me, I look at coaching as like I'm headed somewhere. This is really truly how I look at it. It's like I am going in a direction in my life, right? And for me personally, like, and I talk about this all the time, for me, it is, I'm headed towards, like, I really pay attention to spirituality, spiritual growth in my life. And, like, I want to pay attention to both my spirituality and my business growth, right? And number one, I don't want that to conflict, even though sometimes I do get in space where it feels like it's fighting against each other. But at the very least, that is the intention always. And so, like, how I like to market myself really is like I'm sharing with everybody like where I'm headed. So if you are headed there as well, if making money matters to you and spirituality matters to you, here is how I'm doing it, right? And how I'm doing this is while I'm doing this, these are the challenges that I'm facing. These are like how I fall in my face. And when I fall in my face, this is how I recover, and while still focusing on where I'm headed and where I'm headed. And so for me, like what's happened in my business is like when I stay true to that, then really the people who come in my space, they choose to really step into my space because they value that as well, right? They value, um, she spirituality matters to her and money matters to her as well, right? And she's doing it, and I like the way she's doing it. And like alongside with that, it's like having joy and having presence in your life and all these things. It doesn't have to clash with each other. And so for me, that's how I've marketed myself up until now. And funny enough, this is who I have also attracted in my business, you know? Yeah. Right. When they come to me, it's because they kind of value it that way. They kind of, they've seen it. They've seen how I show up, and kind of like it resonates with them, and they want to do it that way, you know? Yeah. And then that's how they also show up. The other thing is, at least in my space, because my clients that I attract in my business, of course, they have spirituality as like a core value for them. And one thing that I've always said, because I knew this to be true for me, I knew even from day one when I went into business, I always say in my circles that I went into business because I knew I wanted to save myself. That was it, period. I went into business because I wanted to save myself, you know, in so many different ways. And for me, what that really means is save myself actually in more ways than most people know, because even my health, I knew doing this work was going to help even my physical health. But even beyond that, I knew that doing this work, showing up and getting to interact with clients and getting to meet people who don't have the same way of looking at life as me, and all these things was going to open my horizon and really get me into really recognizing myself more and more and really knowing myself, right? Even though sometimes it has gone through painful moments. You know what I mean? It's like just for me to wake up to certain things in my life about myself, really. Like I look at it always as it's not about the other person, it's about me and about me awakening. And so, like, even when I went into business, right? Yes, I went into business knowing that, yes, that's one way to make money. But like really primarily, I already knew from day one. And I feel like that's what helped me a lot, actually, because that's something that I value so much. I was like, oh my God, can you imagine? Like, me being in business and business allowing me to create even more spiritual growth for myself. And I'm like, to bring it on, you know, bring it on. And so a lot of people that I attract in my space, they come knowing consciously that even being in a business can be a playground for spiritual growth for them. Yeah.